1 week season.
Good morning, GoToBS fams. Andrew here again with another best ball video. This one, I've done this once before, is going to be a slow draft review. So you can see I've kind of let them queue up. I have a bunch of slow drafts where I'm on the clock. And so, again, the point of this one, as opposed to doing a standard, just full length draft, going from one draft like all the way through, is this lets you see how strategy, evaluating where you are, stacking, how that plays out across a bunch of different drafts and drafts that are at different points. So we're going to go through a bunch of drafts here and see how they're finishing, starting, they're at different points, right? So this draft's almost done, right? 6 pitchers, 7 infielders, 6 outfielders. You can see 3 Padres, right? I have Jake Cronenworth, who's not a guy I'd normally pick, not a guy who normally gets drafted, but I had 2 Padres. He finished out the Padres stack. I have 3 Reds and 3 Yankees in this lineup, but I don't need a hitter. Here's a pitcher. So if I come here, I can see my rankings. I guess I haven't uploaded my newest rankings because I added Max Scherzer and he's not showing he's ranked. But there's lots of different pitchers if you scroll down that you can find for a final pitcher. The challenge using ranks with pitchers, especially as late, you end up getting a ton of one guy. Like I currently have something like 40% Merrill Kelly because I was drafting him for a while as my last pitcher, and I don't want to have 40% of a last round pitcher because these guys are all super volatile. So I'm trying to mix it up, right? So Scherzer, I've got a bunch of now because I've been drafting him lately. So my current guy is Bowden Francis, and let's try to kind of mix it up, right? So we'll go Bowden Francis to finish this draft up. Here's one. Let's see. So this draft, and what you can see is some of these drafts don't have any stacking really going on yet. This draft is a couple pitchers, 7 total hitters, and 2 are stacked, the Cubs. So now I'm looking at where I can go. I've got a San Francisco hitter, I've got a New York hitter, a Washington, San Diego, and Atlanta. San Diego and Atlanta, we know, don't really have a lot of pairings late, unless you want to go for, say, Jake Cronenworth or one of those guys who's just not really drafted. But there's no late pairings. There's only undrafted pairings for these guys. And I tend to think of those as in 2 different tiers. The undrafted pairings are certainly riskier, right? More chance they just don't do anything worthwhile. But there's a guy near the top of my rankings right now staring at me who fits a stack, which is Heliot Ramos. So I'm going to stack him with Adames. Sometimes the stacks come to you early in the draft. Sometimes they come later. This one, it looks like it's coming earlier, right? This one is, I started Judge, I got Matt Olson, and then my highest ranked player left is Marcell Ozuna, and he fits what looks like the beginnings of an Atlanta correlation. This one is almost done, round 19. So let's see. Let's look at hitters. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 Arizona hitters. I have Profar, Michael Harris from Atlanta, Adames by himself, Michael Toglia and Ryan McMahon from the Rockies, Arozarena and Abreu. Abreu and Duran from Boston, and Arozarena by himself. So let's see. Let's see if we can finish off this draft with an infielder who creates a stack. Nothing really on the Red Sox. Trevor Story is actually not a terrible late last pick if you're going heavy Red Sox. I'm going to go here. Diamondbacks. Jake McCarthy would be fine if I needed an outfielder. Jordan Lawlar is a reasonable sort of flyer kind of pick, but he may not open the season in the major leagues. Giants don't really have anyone. I don't really buy Tyler Fitzgerald. Rockies. Aha. This is Thairo Estrada. I think he actually has a lot more upside than this, than the 800 points underdog is projecting him for. Right, he scored over 1,000 points just in 2 consecutive seasons as a not quite, but mostly full-time player with the Giants. Now he's expected to be a full-time player, and he moved to Coors Field, of course, which is a great hitting park. So I think we're going to go with Thairo Estrada to finish out this draft, and that gives me 3 Rockies. Again, late in the draft, the last couple of rounds, I'm looking more for correlation than I am rankings, right? I don't really care about rankings because the difference between those guys that are you're picking super late in the draft is so small. Let's see. Pick 135. I have Toglia ranked right there. Mason Wynn, Joe Ryan. Let's see. This team has 2 Cleveland guys, 3 Atlanta guys, 2 Arizona guys. So let's go look. Arizona, Lourdes Gurriel would fit. Guardians don't really have anyone. After their couple, they only have 3 hitters I'm really drafting at all. Braves, we now have no one. And Boston, we know, has Rafaela. I've not gotten a lot of Sedan Rafaela, like, at all. And so I've got Lourdes Gurriel right there, who fits my Arizona stack, but I have almost no. I probably drafted Rafaela once, is my guess. I bet I have 1 share. So I'm going to pick Rafaela. He stacks with Duran, and he just gets exposure to a different guy who is I just don't have a lot of. And I'm not super high on him, but I try to mix things up and make sure I get, spread my exposures out across a lot. I'm doing a large portfolio of lineups, so I'm drafting a bunch. And so I try to spread exposures out. Here, Mets are unstackable late. 3 Cubs, a couple Arizona Diamondbacks, 1 Blue Jay, 1 Red, 1 Rocky. Ryan McMahon's there if I want 2 Rockies. Reds we know I can grab late. I think I'm going to go pitcher here because this pitching staff, we're getting late, right? We're getting late into the pitching, and like there's not a lot of good pitchers left. And the pitchers that I have ranked more highly than the field, Brian Wu, Brandon Pfaadt, we're getting towards their ADP. They're past their ADPs. So it's like if I want these guys and I want to get good value on them, this is where to get them, or they're gonna go. So like Wu and Pfaadt in both cases, right here I can draft them and get good ADP value. They're high. We're past their ADP, and even better value on where I have them ranked. So I'm going to get Brian Wu here. The beginnings of our roster, we have Carol Churio and Austin Riley. Based on my rankings and ADP, Austin Riley is the obvious pick to make here. So we'll make the obvious pick. Mid-round draft. Oh, let's see, 150. Oh, I'd like Togley would have been a nice pick here. So I have 5 outfielders, 4 infielders. I have 2 Atlanta guys, 2 San Diego guys, 1 Ranger, 1 Guardian, 1 Giant, 1 Twin. Not a lot of correlation in this roster so far. So this roster is one I'm probably going to have to build another later stack because I know Atlanta you can't really stack late. The Rangers, I could get Evan Carter here, but I don't like getting my 6th outfielder by this point in the draft. Because the 6th outfielder rarely puts up scores that you're going to use if you've drafted 5 other good outfielders. The Guardians are unstackable this late. The Twins are not a team looking to stack anyway. There's just not a lot of stacking options, and the guys I already have on this roster. So I know I need to set myself up to get something later. And the options, my late stack options really that I tend to look to are the Rockies, but Toglio went there. The Cardinals, and Mason Wynn went, and he's a guy who I really like as part of that stack. Also, the Cardinals tend to lean are an outfield heavy stack because you've got Wynn and you've got Contreras and Arenado are okay, but then you've got like Newt Donovan, Grillis, and Walker. So you have 4 outfielders in there that are guys who I want to include as part of that stack. And then you've got my favorites. Well, the team I really like, the Reds, because they got infielders, right? They have infielders galore. I didn't get De La Cruz or McLean, but I can grab these late infielders and know that they're going to be there. So infield is a spot I can hit late on this draft. And so I think that once again, I'm going to take Brian Wu here. Add a pitcher. One of my George Kirby teams, sadly. Poor Kirby. Okay, round 13. Kind of similar spot, right? Like this roster has 2 Mets. I really can't add to that. 3 Braves. I really can't add to that. And then Contreras, Vinny, and Lane Thomas as solo guys. So Brewers, there's a couple Brewers you can consider late. You consider Chris Hoskins, Garrett Mitchell, Bryce Terang. Guardians we know are unstackable late. The Mets are like they kind of you get these early guys and they're sort of dead late. So Mets and Royals are a team I'm just not really looking to stack because they're terrible. Like if you want to get a couple shares of Jonathan India to stack with Bobby Witt or Vinny, like that's fine. Have at it, but it's not a team I'm excited to build stacks around. So see, those guys come later if I want to go brewer stack. And so I could get some unstacked guys. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab Mason Wynn. So I have him at his ADP. I have him ranked more highly than that. And that gets me the opening of going to some Cardinals on that roster. This roster just starting out. Pick 6. Kyle Tucker. We're coming up on the end of this roster. Let's see. A couple of Atlanta guys. A couple of Washington guys. A couple of Yankees. All stacks of 2. Let's see. So where does that leave me? It looks like Nathaniel Lowe got taken. I was going to say he would be a good pick to finish. Oh, no. I have Nathaniel Lowe. Sorry. Right. He did get taken by me. I could get a Washington to finish off the stack. I can get Luis Garcia. He'll be there later, so I don't have to pick him now. I need an outfielder. So if I look at outfield, Wilyer Abreu certainly seems to make a lot of sense in that I already have Tristan Casas. He's hurt. He's unlikely to be ready for opening day, but that's okay. He's not going to be out for that long, and I'm drafting him as my outfield 6. And then I only have 4 pitchers, so this roster really needs a pitcher. And I'm probably going to go pitcher here and pitcher there because I only have 4 pitchers, and I need to get more pitching before I run out of pitchers who I like to target. So Gavin Williams joins that roster. This roster, Fernando Tatis, Matt Olson. This is an awkward draft spot. So this roster, I have this pick, and I pick 41. So I pick 41 coming up because what you can see is where a guy I have ranked very highly right here is Michael Harris, who would join my outfield. He would stack with Matt Olson. That'd be great. Will he be there at pick 41? I don't know. I hope so. But I feel confident. I also have Fernando Tatis, and I have Manny Machado there. One of Michael Harris and Manny should be there at pick 41. And so I feel good waiting on both those guys, even though where I have them ranked is be okay to draft them. But I think I can wait and feel pretty confident they're going to be there. Let's look at ADP. I want James Wood. James Wood's ADP has slipped a little bit because he got he got a little nicked up in camp. So his ADP slipped a little bit. I'm going to get James Wood because I want to get if the draft comes back around to me here, if I take an infielder here, like say Ketel Marte or Trey Turner, and the draft comes back around to me and Michael Harris is gone, and Manny's there, then I'm probably taking Manny. I feel like I can kind of easily back myself into a position where I don't have an outfield option if Harris is gone, because Santander's probably going to be gone. Brian Reynolds, good chance he's gone. It's like it's a position where I can back myself into my next pick having to be a third infielder and only having one outfielder. And I'll go that way every once in a while, but I don't like to start 3 infield, 2 outfield, because the outfield just dries up so quick. So I get Wood here, which gives me more flexibility to get either infield or outfield next pick. Pick 16. Let's see, 5 pitchers. Okay, this one has a rare Mookie Betts roster. I have very little of him. So I have 2 Dodgers. I have McLean, which means McLean, like one of the things I look for late is do I have Matt McLean? Because Matt McLean just opens up he makes red stacking easier late. This roster does not have great correlation overall, though. I've got 2 Dodgers. Is that really it? My God. Okay, this roster has terrible correlation. I don't know what happened in this one. I really don't. I know that I can get a red or 2 late. I know that I can get, let's look at outfield. I could get McCarthy, who would stack with Josh Naylor. There are not a lot of options. Nate Lowe, and I could go 2 reds in the infield. I could get like Lux and Christian Encarnacion Strand. I could get Nate Lowe, stack with James Wood. There's a couple different ways I could go here in infield. And I can start to finish out pitching. I think I'm going to start to finish out pitching because I know that I have multiple options I think are good at the other positions. And I don't have multiple options I think are good at pitching, at pitcher. So let's go one of my favorites. Actually, let's go Nick Lodolo because I have him right. He's a guy like you see. I have Woodruff, Lodolo, Williams in that order in my rankings, but I have a ton of Woodruff and a ton of Williams. So I'm going to go Lodolo in this roster just to diversify my roster a little bit. Okay, last pick in this roster. I'm just going to go ADP here. So I have Gunnar Henderson ranked 13th. He's kind of an interesting one because he's got I think it's an intercostal strain or something. Kind of a minor muscle strain. It's unclear if he'll be ready for opening day, but he's not expected to miss much time. And so Henderson is one of those guys where it's like, I'd like to have some. I'd like to have more than I do, but I can't really rank him more highly than I have him because there's just other guys I like better. And so I have very little Henderson. And so this injury has meant that his ADP has slipped. I've gotten him as late as like pick 20 or 21, I think. His ADP has slipped back to where I can actually draft him now, where I feel good about drafting him. And so I'm actually kind of excited to get some shares of him. So Julio Rodriguez, Gunnar Henderson. And so I know here this roster, Julio does not have a lot of stacking partners. The Seattle Mariners offense is not a highly stackable one, but Gunnar Henderson, Oriole stacks are quite easy to make. This roster is getting close to the end. I have some air. So here I got you can see how I've been finishing up this roster. I got Naylor and Gurriel earlier on Atlanta, then I got Jake McCarthy late. I have Trey Turner, and then I got Bryson Stott late. Excuse me. I also had Nick Castellanos. And I need one more pitcher on this roster, but I want to use an infielder to finish up infield. So let's see, Rocky. So Thairo Estrada's here. That'd be a potential finishing pick. I know I like the Reds. I don't tend to take Reds players, like a single Red. Someone drafted Christian Encarnacion-Strand. He's gone. He's not here. Look at that. Someone picked him. No one ever picks him. I'm excited that my love for him appears to be spreading. Diamondbacks, really no one to get. I have Julio, Falcon Mariners. I don't hate getting a couple shares of J.B. Crawford. J.B. Crawford had 1,284 points in 2023, and he's still young. So, that's a reasonable pick. Braves don't have anybody. We know the Padres don't really have anybody. Padres, I can get Cronenworth. He's always there late. Let's see. Rockies. So really for me on this roster, it's between Estrada and J.P. Crawford as my final hitter. I'm going to go J.P. Crawford because I think J.P. Crawford is an interesting guy. He was a top prospect. 2021, 1,168 points. 2022, 951 points. 2023, 1,284 points. Last year, 736 points. Let's see if we can figure out why. And if we go here, 2022, his plate appearances dipped a little bit. 2023, his plate appearances dipped a lot, so he got hurt. He also was a worse hitter, right? Look at his OPS plus is rough 100 here is league average. So 2021, league average hitter, well above league average hitter, below league average hitter. He's 28? Oh, he's 30. Well, he's gotten older than I realized. So, he's probably not he was a top prospect, but he's probably not going to break out at age 30. That's not common. He had his best season last year, but it's reasonable to think he can get back to this somewhere between league average to slightly above league average. And so when I have Julio Rodriguez already to stack him with, and no one's drafting this guy, that's a good last pick to finish out a roster when it builds me some correlation. I'll keep an eye on these late pick rosters. This roster has 7 pitchers, 6 outfielders, so it's done there. So it only needs a couple of infielders. So let's see, one Atlanta guy, 3 Cubs, and what else? 3 Rangers. Is that all I have? Yeah, 3 Cubs, 3 Rangers. Let's look. So Orioles don't really offer me anything. These are the core Orioles. Orioles are a hard team to draft late because they just have so many young guys who all sound like they went to Yale and played on over on the rowing team. Kobe, Mountcastle, Westberg. So anyway, like there's so many guys there that it's hard for these guys late to get like a lot of consistent at bats. Cubs. Nico Horner's a late pick I like, so he's gone. Rangers. Really no one late. No late options in the Rangers. We know there's nothing on the Mets. Giants, we know there's nothing. Braves, we know there's nothing. Dodgers, Tommy Edman would have been the pick I could look for here. There's not a lot of late picks that I think are good here. I'm trying to think. Where was that one? So what I could do, and I think I will do, is I'll shoot for 2 reds. I'm going to go for my friend Encarnacion Strand, and then I'll get either Gavin Lux or Candelario as the final pick on this roster. To build just have a little 2 reds mini correlation at the end. This roster, you can see, this roster's pitching is ugly. It's going to it's actually fine there, but it's getting late. It's getting late here to not have more than 3 pitchers. We're going to get a pitcher because the roster desperately needs pitching. Same with this roster. 3 pitchers, 5 outfielders, 5 infielders. Dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum. I like sorting by ADP too, because it's like for example, I have Nick Pivetta ranked later. And because of that, I have almost no Nick Pivetta. Is Nick Pivetta that different than Brandon Pfaadt, Dodge Bradley? Not really. I prefer Pfaadt and Bradley and Mackenzie Gore, but do I hate Pivetta? No. Later in the draft, like these rankings don't mean as much. So I tend to like to look like where are we ADP wise and where are we played in my rankings, and so both to me are valuable to look at. I'm going to get Pivetta just because, like I said, I have very, very little of him, and I can grab him at ADP roughly. And there we have it. I've caught up on all my drafts. So again, I hope this was useful and just a different look than going straight through drafts, drafts start to finish in a fast draft. Just a different way of looking at it, different way of looking at strategy, and evaluating a bunch of drafts to see where we're at and how to make that next pick. All right, thanks for hanging out. I will see you next time.
1 week season.